Hello, here is Christian Pomerleau from PMML, and I'm doing this capsule to talk about the policy rate. We are now December 7th, 2022. And the Bank of Canada has announced its beautiful Christmas colors by giving us another policy rate increase of 50 points. This means that the rate today is at 4.25. It's the 7th consecutive rate increase since March 2nd, 2022, where we went from 0.25 as a policy rate to 4.25% in less than 9 months. Imagine if this was a racing car, we'd be in one of the fastest ones. So be prepared. The banks will probably or definitely increase their preferential rates from 5.95, which it is right now, at 6.45. And the last time we saw a rate this high was before 2007. Now, the Bank of Canada, why did it take this decision? It is because the central bank sees way too much inflation, not only here in Canada, but in the whole world. And really what they're trying to do is equilibrate all these rate increases and also make sure that it's not too much and it's not insufficient to attain the objective, which is always the same, is to bring back the inflation at its target of 2%. It's a pretty difficult contract, but right now it seems to be working. Have they gone a little too far this time? We'll see. It takes a little bit of time for the impact on this monetary policy to have its results. Employment in Canada, we have an unemployment rate which has reduced by 0.1%. It is now at a level of 5.1%, and there has been increase in job offers, especially in financial services, in production, and in the information sector. However, on the side of construction and retail, it has pulled us towards the lower part in this little period. There has been an increase in salaries lately, but that has been reduced now. We are on a plateau, and apparently these increases have not had a big impact on inflation, definitely not as much as it had been estimated before. However, on the American side, the increase in salaries that were given, increase in revenues that was received by the people has nourished the inflation because they are still spending a lot. Now let's look at the world. In the last two trimesters, there was a very hard squeezing of the policy, monetary policies, and increased rates were going all over the place in about every country. And it has been done in a period where the growth has been reduced enormously. If we look at the zone euro, the cost of energy has been a big threat for them, and their growth has only been of 0.7%. Now, in the emerging markets, the problem is the cost of the American dollar because it is increased, and it makes them it is much more difficult for them to reimburse their loans, especially the loans that were done in US money. So all the emerging markets are having big suffering in that side. For China, it's always their policy of having zero COVID, which has impact on their economy. And also the Chinese people are really tired of this. They want to be heard now. They're doing riots more and more. So China has to be looked at carefully. And the Bank of Canada has maintained its estimates for the world growth at 3.2%. If we look a little south in the United States, the economy has reduced, but consumption is still very high, and the employment and the workforce is still very robust. The unemployment level is at 3.7 for November, and every month there is a gain in employment creation. So, like I said before, because of that, the salaries still continue to increase, and that has an important impact on their inflation. The Fed last month has increased their policy rate by 75 points, and they also told their population that other rate increases will be coming, so they have to be prepared. The trust and the confidence in the market is not very high right now, so this is not going to help either. So if we look into Canada, the Canadian economy is still in an excess of demand, and the Canadian growth of its economy is at a rate of 2.9% for the trimester of the third one. And it is really the international commerce that has pulled this growth, especially in the resources sector and also the exportations. However, on the other side, the consumption of households has been reduced, and that's perfect because that was one of the targets that the Bank of Canada was looking for. And the only thing, though, is that the inflation still is pretty high at 6.9% for October. Now, we have to understand that the monetary policy has been applied pretty severely with raises since the last 9 months, and this has hit hard the real estate market and a part of the household expenses. And the activity, the economical activity in 3 of the big sectors, which are real estate transaction, automobiles, furniture, has really diminished enormously because these sectors are very impacted by high interest rates. Why? Because consumers have a tendency to take loans to finance that type of acquisition. So the impact is stronger there. Now, in the work market, it's still relatively tense. There is still some need for workforce in many different sectors, but right now Canadian employers are not increasing salaries as they were before in the beginning of the year to attract the people. Now, in this economical context also, we have to talk about immigration a bit because we have received a lot of people in 2021, like over 400,000 immigrants, and this is increasing. The target will go increasingly up to 500,000 immigrants being received in 2025. And the grand majority of these immigrants are what we call economic immigrants because they come here, they're a little younger, very often have a good education and experimented also. So in the midterm, this will stimulate the work market, but also definitely stimulate the economical growth of Canada. In Quebec, our unemployment rate is at a record low at 3.8%, and the gains in the work market have been made especially in the industry of information, culture, restoration, hotels, recreation. So that's going to be looked at pretty much by all the economists in the next months. Real estate. The sales of houses has been reduced by 35.6% if we refer to the level of February. And the first increase was from September to October, an increase of 1.3%. And there's also has been another increase of 2.2% of the amount of new inscriptions. I don't know how to say it in English. And it's the first time in 4 months. So the market, real estate market, has been balanced out a little, but still the offer is not fully there. It's a little weak, so it still has the advantages, the sellers at this point. Not as much as it was like a year ago, but still a little bit. And construction has been reduced, definitely, because interest rates are pretty high. But I think this is picking up, and it's going to make a lot of a good impact in the future. Now, the last rate increases have had a significant impact, and definitely a rapid impact on the short-term rates and on variable rates. And actually, the whole load of all different types of rates have increased, especially the conventional part of it. So in conventional loans, many banks now use qualifying rates which are over 7%, which is a little difficult in the market because it makes loans which are very low. Now, the last rate increases have had a significant impact, and definitely a rapid impact, on the short-term rates and also on the variable rates. Actually, on many of the rates eventually, but one of the rates that suffered greatly is the conventional rates, conventional loan rates. There's many banks out there which use qualifying rates over 7%, which creates a big impact on reducing the loans. On the other side, CMHC is based more on things like the CMB, Canadian mortgage bonds, and on this side, it has been a little much lower, definitely. And right now we have good news because, first of all, on the 14th of June, we had hit a peak with the CMBs at 3.99, and then it lowered and got back up again, and that was a little scary to hit another summit at on the 7th of November, and we hit 4.03. But since then, in the last weeks, it just has been reduced by about 63 points. And as of yesterday, the CMB was turning around 3.40%. So we do estimate that in the next 2 trimesters, probably this is going to be a little more calm. We hope for it. And even though I talked about all this data and all these challenges, the real estate market is still there, and there's still treasures in it, so you just have to be a little more analytical and look at things, and also once you have the good deal, you have to go fast, definitely. So on this, I want to wish you a lot of success with all your endeavors, and also wish you good holidays. And I hope all this you have appreciated, and do not hesitate to contact me for financial financing or multi-res financing, or even to understand the MLI Select program. I could be reached at 514-826-2052. And my email is christian.pomerleau@pmml.ca. We have a nice team waiting for you for your calls and information and whatever. If you'd like to know the sources of my capsule today, I take it from Les études économiques de Desjardins dans la section Prévisions de détail et Nouvelles économiques, and also on the site of la Banque du Canada with les annonces et les communiqués, et le mensuel économique de la Banque nationale du Canada dans la section Marché financier. Sur ce, je vous souhaite une belle semaine.